Good evening, everyone, and welcome to A World Awakening. Happy Friday. I'm Erin Bush. I'm filling in for our resident queen of high strangeness. She is at Victoria's Black Swan Inn in San Antonio, Texas, doing an event this weekend. So she sends her love, and I'm excited to be able to fill in. To start off, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who reached out about our loss of our boxer monkey last week. There's a lot of things I haven't responded to, but I've just kind of been able to sort of feel the love from everyone. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we felt all that. We're super grateful. We're learning how to navigate a new normal. But I was really excited to have the opportunity to do the show tonight, and doubly excited to have Michelle Roos back on the show again. I met Michelle back in December. So I always jokingly say that most of my connections in the paranormal field are because of Andrea. So the joke is that Andrea opens doors and then kicks me through them. So I was given an opportunity to join Maria Schmidt out in Vegas and to help with representing as a vendor Mysterious Adventures Tours. And I go to the bar the first night and meet these three amazing women, all pint-sized and tiny. And Michelle was one of them. And she and I just had this instant kind of cosmic, soul sister kind of connection. We spent all weekend together. I picked her brain a lot. Hey, Lori, and Jonathan and Julie. And I was really just blown away. This woman has done so many things. She's one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. She knows so much about the metaphysical side, the paranormal side. She's a talented medium. I'm about to give you a bullet point list of her bio because I think it's worth noting. But just super excited to have her back. She invited me to join World's Largest Ghost Hunt as the chair of the metaphysical committee. We'll be talking a little bit about that as well, because that is next weekend already, if you can believe it. So let me get my phone because I can't, there's so many things on her bio. Okay, so I'm just going to read it straight for the first couple paragraphs. Michelle Roos is a world-renowned psychic and trance medium. She practices psychometry. She's a paracounselor, an ordained minister, a demonologist, and exorcist. She does channeling. She's a spiritual healer. She's a remote viewing clairvoyant. She can do astral projection. She's also parapsychology, dream interpretation, psychic advisor. She runs Riverside, Iowa Paranormal. She's the founder there. She's the owner of Thriller Events and the co-founder of Daughters of Hecate. Michelle spent multiple years in the paranormal field as a paranormal investigator and researcher. She's continued her studies and is credited with multiple degrees, including, are you ready for this? A doctorate of metaphysics degree, a doctorate of divinity degree, and a degree in spiritual warfare and paranormal ministry. While studying at the Universal Life Church Seminary, Michelle studied counseling and paracounseling, atheism and agnostics, religion, ancient African practices, to modern takes on religion. She's also studied the effects of satanic abuse deriving from cult activity. She holds the distinction of being the first woman listed on the Worldwide Society of Exorcists and studied at the Universal Church Ministry. Seriously. She's tiny. She packs a punch. She knows so many things about so many things. I pick her brain all the time. And I'm honored to call her my friend, and I'm super excited to have her on the show. And Bill, you can bring Michelle on whenever. Hi, Sunshine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's a late night coffee date.
Yeah, definitely coffee.
Welcome back.
Yes, I'm excited to be back and to hear all that. I'm just like, I don't think of it that way. It just kind of all combines together. And so I just go, from one spot to another. But to hear it, I'm just like, wow, that's a lot.
Well, I think that's why it's worth mentioning. I mean, especially, Andrea's always about promoting women in this field. And
Jonathan,
when you have somebody like you with your literal laundry list of qualifications and experience, and I know we don't like the word expertise, but you've studied a lot of things to get these degrees, and you just have a wealth of experience and knowledge that I'm lucky to be able to peck at whenever I want to.
And just to say, not saying I'm discrediting anybody, but I actually did go to the school. It wasn't online.
Right.
So it was actually really exciting to see everything firsthand
Yeah.
and learn about it and how the studies go and, the in-depth, because everybody just goes one side or the other. And
Yeah.
I kind of walk both sides, I guess you could say. And so
You do. Well, why don't you? I mean, I know the first question is always, how'd you get started in the paranormal? So you can run with that whenever. But I think what would be interesting for people is to kind of figure out how we've talked about the love notes that I get to deal with, and you deal so much with the dark end of things. So there's obviously that connection where it started, how, just give me whatever you want to kind of fill people in on how you ended up kind of where you are, that kind of stuff.
Well, again, long time ago in a little house.
Far away land.
Far away. Actually, I was constantly seeing, I guess, spirits coming into my room, things like that. But they weren't like little boys and girls that you would sit down and you play with your dolls and do stuff. They were very scary looking.
Mm-hmm.
And, I kept thinking something was wrong with me. These were like nightmares. And I would, you couldn't talk to my mom and stuff like that because, they didn't believe in that. Or maybe they believed in it. They just, if you don't talk about it, it's not real.
Right.
And just didn't know. And I noticed like my dolls would move and, they would turn their heads. So I will tell you, I do have a real fear of dolls.
That's fair.
Will start sweating. I tried to be brave, but you can hear me go, like this is not really happening. And it was going on for years and years. And then I always caught on, I would see things and I would tell my family, there was this guy, he was trying to pick me up in this car and he was trying to offer me candy. And I seen like this other little girl in the back seat, but it looked like her throat was slit. And so I didn't go into the car, but I seen it very real. Like I'm seeing you right now. Mm-hmm. And of course, you constantly heard, well, don't be telling tall tales and stuff. So I just kind of shut it down.
Yeah.
The biggest one was I knew my Opa. I am German background. So Opa, he passed away. But when I'd go see my Oma, I always seen her dancing with him and, but I didn't see him when he was alive. So I was real scared. And he was really not there. And when I would say it, it was finally to the point where, okay, I'm done. I cannot talk about it. And so I kind of, suppressed it for a real long time.
Yeah.
As I got older, I'm like, there's got to be something to this. I call them love notes. It's when your grandma, your aunt, your mom or dad come over, through and they give you those. I would love to have those at times.
Yeah.
But what I would see is, if you had a sibling or aunt and uncle, if they passed away from suicide or overdose, I see them in that state.
Right.
But I'm also giving them a voice. I noticed that I was there to tell their story. And as I started, kind of just grasping onto that, it was one of those, okay, there's something to this. Right. So when I tell people I speak for spirit, I do speak for spirit, those who have been wronged, those who have been, I've helped some of the police departments with missing case, especially children and women that of the night that have lost their lives.
Sure.
But there is a story behind there. These, I call them the lost souls.
Right.
Because in life, they felt like they were invisible and now they want people to know their truths.
Right.
So I think that was my calling and that's how I started going with that. But then I noticed that some of it changed. And to explain, it would be like, if anybody ever watched the movie Alien, mm-hmm. The original, when there was really negative energy or really, bad people, even in life, I see them in like creature forms, almost like their true identity, what their soul really was on the inside.
Oh,
And I'm like, okay, this is really creeping me out. We talk about crawlers, we talk about, black masses and things like that. And since I was older, I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. Why am I seeing these? And so I had found out when you looked at or looked past it, you would see the human base of it. But there was times I didn't see that human base around it. So I
ooh.
started seeing more of the negative coming through. And then that was where my past just started growing from there. So
That's fascinating.
isn't it amazing? Welcome to my world, darling.
Well, that's a brave, we talked a lot in Vegas. So we've obviously talked a lot since then. I mean, that to me, some of the stuff that you've told me that you've seen and experienced, I would need new pants, probably. But just the fact that you're able to embrace it for what it is, and not only embrace it, you're like, all right, well, if this is what I'm working with, then I might as well educate myself as much as I humanly can, because your average person can't take what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, like consistently, right? I would say that there's probably, I don't know a number, far more love note mediums than the other end of it, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
that I know of, yes.
Yeah, because you just don't hear a lot of that, especially too. The fact that you're a trance medium.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit? I'm fascinated by trance. So if you want to kind of explain that for people that aren't familiar.
Well, and a lot of people take a trance medium and they think also if you channel, but they're two different things.
Right.
So a trance medium, I actually use my body and myself to bring spirit in, and I allow them to, use me as like their conductor. So this way, sometimes their voice needs. Mm-hmm. Channeling is more of, kind of getting them in, doing a little bit of that, but I literally walk in a room and just kind of open up and just let them all be me. So half the time I'm not me, I'm somebody else. And so I can actually call in spirit to do that.
Have you ever had one that, because I know I've just a little bit of that I've learned with trance over the last couple of months, that it's always super important to have someone who can pull you out.
Yes.
Somebody that you trust, that, you can, whether you're in your house or you're at an investigation at a location, like you have to set somebody up that you trust to pull you out. Have you ever had an issue getting pulled out because somebody was hanging on really strongly?
Yes. Especially when you're at an event and if you start getting people who are getting the attachments or jumping into people, when I go up to them, I'm actually pulling it out and I take it into myself.
Okay.
And sometimes when I do that, it doesn't want to let go. So then I have, people that's with me in the team that will help do that.
Right.
There's times where I just tell somebody, do not touch me, because I have to fight it myself.
Right.
It's the craziest thing, I guess. My face does start morphing and things like that. People have seen it. And at an event, they're kind of like, okay, I know I went to one of your events, but holy cow, lady.
Right.
But I'm like, you paid for it.
Well, and especially because you're like this tall.
Well,
and you're channeling. Well, you're a little taller than that. Like, but you're channeling these big, like male gruff.
Yes.
So it's an interesting to see you morph into that, especially knowing you personally. So I could see for people that would be like, whoa, that's you just don't normally get that at events.
And I do, and when I pull it out, because I'm calling it into me, I get really close to that person. And I don't know why, but I always put forehead to forehead. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like, somebody sucking on a straw at a McDonald's cup is kind of what I'm doing. I'm like sucking it out of them. And then it comes into me. And then, so yeah, I'm just like, here I am. Like that little marionette doll, just kind of move me around a little bit.
Well, but most people can't do that. That takes some serious knowledge faith in other people,
Yes.
and knowing your own limits, because you're walking the more of the dark end of things. That's what you get to see.
Yeah.
And I think too, a lot of people and you and I have had this conversation to some degree too, about how it's easy for somebody like you to forget how much light it takes to walk the path that you're walking.
Yes.
You have to be grounded and level and energetically strong on every possible level to be able to go in and do that. But it takes a lot of light.
Yes.
You know?
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, of all the things you do you have a favorite? I've always wondered that. As she's flipping through the Rolodex in her brain of the degrees and the classes and the things.
I think honestly, and I don't know if it's really a favorite, but the one that I feel more of its success is when I'm helping families. Mm-hmm. When you have a family with children and, they have an infestation of all sorts of things and the family's starting to break apart, and they don't have anyone to trust anymore because, there are a lot of people out there that just want to go in, catch that EVP, get that video, but you have children and everybody knows with children, they are a bright, bright light. Yes. They don't understand what's coming. And I put myself in that situation, whether they're the monster in the closets, those monsters in the closets, they're real.
Yeah.
The monster under the bed, it's real. Yeah. I still to this day do not sleep with a foot outside the blanket. It gets really hot and you want to, and you poke it out. No. But when you can work with the family and help rebuild that structure.
Yeah.
And get rid of what might be there that is tormenting them all. And to see them go from a broken family back into the one unit, that to me, I think will surpass anything that I do. I don't even have words for it because the feeling I get over it, it's almost like, I know it sounds weird, but when you watch the superhero shows and they finally conquer it and you see it and their chest goes out. Dun, dun,
yeah.
That's that kind of feeling because then I know that child can be in their room again.
Yes.
The husband and wife, they love each other again, and I might've saved the day for maybe just 1 day or 2 days, but I gave them something back that they had lost.
Yeah. Well, and you also offer tools because we all know so much of what this is. Well, all of it is energy on some level or on all levels, but you're also not just fixing the problem, you're also providing the necessary extra tools and extra contacts. So when you've negated whatever's in the house and you've put that unit back together, you're also providing the resources for aftercare, for lack of a better phrase.
And we do that. Absolutely. Yes. We make sure that, whether it's some type of counseling or, just to talk to someone because they're still trying to figure it out. I mean, their brain is still like, was this real?
Yeah.
And people don't really understand even like they say, the nicest spirits in the home, the energy those nice spirits have, they shouldn't be there either. They should be with their loved ones also, because that means they're also lost. If they come in to visit and things like that's a little different, but we got to remember sometimes they're trapped there too, because they didn't feel like they could go on, and that will suck and drain, the living, and it will start making that domino effect.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about the home investigation, the private investigations, was that kind of the impetus for you to start Riverside?
Yes.
Okay. So give people kind of the skinny on Riverside, because you've got chapters all over the place. Hey, Sydney.
Well, the great thing about that was we started with helping families. And the one thing we wanted to do is not just go in, do the investigation, but it was something that was missing.
Right.
And that was the aftercare. You have to help rebuild what their trauma was.
Right.
And we were starting to do that, and we just did it locally, and everything, but we're starting to get calls from all over the place. And I'm like, I want to build a foundation of people that will take it just as serious. Yes, we do events. Now, the events help us keep money coming through Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, because we do not charge for any of it.
Right.
We use our own gas. We take nothing.
Right.
And so this was something I'm like, it's always been missing. Are we going to have a movie? Are we going to have anything? No, we won't. But what we do have is those people coming back, 3 years, 4 years later, the kids are doing better. They went from not missing school and all this to, doing great. Those are the payments that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I always tell everybody with Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, you guys are not just coming here. I have chosen you.
Yeah.
And it sounds really weird.
No.
But I have to make sure that they have the same intent as what my vision was. And that is to still be here for those in need.
Yep. That doesn't sound weird. It's vitally important given what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have your random, everybody wants to be a paranormal investigator, right? Kind of like energy work and metaphysics. Everybody wants sunshine, unicorn, and rainbows, but you have to have intent. You have to take it seriously. You have to, I think that at the end of the day, it's obvious. It's like an unsatiable need to want to help others in whatever
Yes.
our chosen path is at this point.
Yeah.
Right. How many chapters do you guys? I mean, I know you have Iowa, Indiana, Texas.
Iowa, Indiana, Texas. Oh my God. PA. I'm sitting there trying to remember all of them.
I put you on the spot.
Oh, dang it. I hope they're not watching. They're going to be like, hey.
It's a week before World's Largest. No one's brain is working. Everybody.
I have mush brain. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, but a lot of us, we go a longer distance. So, whatever chapter is there, we, just like Iowa, 5 hours all the way around.
Okay.
So each chapter will kind of do that. So we have a larger spectrum we can do, but I'm always looking to do more chapters. I think we need it because especially on the East Coast, I feel like the East Coast is more haunted than anywhere else because I get so many calls from there and I only have a small little group and they can't be everywhere.
Right.
But yeah, it's there is a huge need. I think we get lost. We have so many, and again, I'm not putting anything down, please. But when I'm talking about like a lot of paracons and a lot of events and things going on, that a lot of us who could help people, we get sidetracked with that at times, but we still have those families. We do everything, step by step. We do an intake. We do ask very serious questions before we even go. We talk about the mental health issues. We talk about what kind of medications they use. We talk about, what kind of issues are like in a relationship. We talk about so it is very detailed and we get into some very sensitive things.
Sure.
So it's not just, you got your neighbor's ghost in your house. We'll be right over, have coffee ready. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to have the right people to do that.
Yes.
We do have Reiki healers. We do have, psychics. We have regular investigators. We have our little scientific people to kind of help us, but we go through everything. We check, the electrical, we check everything to make sure, because we want to debunk as much as we can to help those families.
Yep.
And we have all of that. We don't go, we go back to help, but one thing we don't do is if we catch stuff on video or EVPs, we do not take it back to the family.
Right.
Because we don't want them to hear it. We just know I can use that to know how to do the correct cleansing of their home, or I go in and actually help spirit pass on, which they use my body to which we talked about because you do that.
I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about that. I didn't know if that was discussed or not. I still have to learn about it. I mean, well, I mean, if we're going to go there, we might as well go there,
hurts.
right?
Yes, but yes, you might as well go there. Miss Erin,
hit him with it, girl.
Same thing. So I didn't know what it actually was. As you know, things have been progressing. I started noticing that when I was trying to pass spirit on, they were actually going through my core, and it was like crippling. And but then I noticed I could actually see it go up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful, but I can't handle this. Yeah. And I end up with bruises on my body and stuff too. And had talked to a couple of friends, and I'm like, what is this? Because they're like, you're getting brighter and brighter. And they're like, we would call you an anchor. And I'm like, excuse me?
Which was my response. A what? Yeah.
Yep. And then what happens, Miss Erin? Yeah.
Yeah. So my understanding of it, which is little, is that you're kind of, because obviously most places you're not advocating for the moving on of spirits. We have to save that for the people like you who are, that is what you are trained to do, right? So we're not saying, nobody try this at home. I can't believe I just said that, but that's that. So my understanding, I have always blown, we were talking, I think in the casino at lunch one day or something about, I had heard from several people in Vegas that I was blowing people out.
Yes.
With my solar plexus energy, which I was unaware of. And I think that's kind of how that conversation started, because you mentioned something about like a column or a stairwell or something of light out my back. So I didn't know what that is. So my understanding is we are vessels to be able, that can just unknowingly, without even asking it to happen, they kind of just move. We're almost like a gate.
Yep.
That they can go through whether we're aware of it or not. Is that correct?
That is correct. And it's really funny when you're in public.
Well, that's interesting because, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not back then on this, because we haven't really talked about it since, because I've been on, crazy mode, and you've also been on crazy mode, and you can't find a lot of information about it on the internet for obvious reasons. But one of my very first experiences I can recall as a kid, I've started kind of compiling like when some of these weird things would happen to me, and it all comes back to being 6. So I don't know what happened at 6, but something happened when I was 6. So I can very clearly remember I was at a restaurant with my parents, and on the left side was the building. We're walking on a sidewalk, and on the right side was like a utility pole. And I remember walking through it and very clearly thinking I had gotten shocked. Like a jolt when I walked by it. So up until 3 years ago, I wouldn't walk between a building and a utility pole. I walked around. So now I come to understand, and I think what that is I was walking through someone, or that was happening. Somebody was using my body to basically walk themselves home, for lack of a better way to put it. Yeah. But I don't know that for sure. I was 6. But that's what's so fascinating, I think, about all the things that is because you've heard of stuff I've never heard of. And some of these things that, are so unique, you look at like Cody and Satori and their abilities. There are certain abilities for people that are so unique to their energetic imprint. Yeah. You just don't find it a lot. I mean, and we had some of that even in Vegas with, what was the guy outside the casino door? What was he? He was like a janitor, I think, or something, or he worked at the casino, right?
Yeah.
And at one point we had 4 of us. So Maria was channeling him because he was this spirit was medium hopping all weekend at this event. He was hitting all of us. And so at one point you were like, well, let's see what he wants. So let's try and figure this out. So Maria sat down and she was doing automatic writing.
Yeah.
And she was getting, I think we first learned he had a wife who had passed.
Yes.
And he was trying to connect with her, but he also had a wife who was still living.
Correct.
Right. And he was like in limbo because he couldn't figure out where to go. But I say this because it was fascinating, because here's Maria channeling with automatic writing. You're getting the physical walking through you part of it. I'm standing behind you trying to Reiki. And then we had Candy and Cindy kind of like helping hold down the fort. So we had this like, it's just fascinating how everybody's abilities kicked in at one time and we all got information differently. And it just is it's just fascinating to me because everybody's abilities are so unique. But the anchoring thing, I had never even heard of. I didn't even know that was a thing.
And I didn't even know there was a word. I just knew it was getting more and more.
Yeah.
But it was getting to the point where it was so much going through me that like on my spine and stuff, I'd get up and I'm like, going, what's going on? And, even Todd's like, you got all these bruises on you. I get it where you can see handprints on me. And really? I'm just like, okay, we got to slow down here. I only have so much going on, but it takes a physical toll. Yeah. I think when you're prepared and you go somewhere and you're like, okay, I know I might be passing spirit on or help them find the light to move on. But when you're like we were in Vegas, and all of a sudden you just go like this and somebody's looking at you like, what's wrong? You're like, oh, nothing, give me a second, it kind of, because I'm very good at trying to keep myself closed. I am definitely, I don't do very good in meditation, but I have found things that will help me so I can actually be in the public, and when you're in something like these Paracon things, there is so much going on. You have energy coming from everyone that's going there and everything. And you're trying to combat all of it. Yeah. That sometimes there's that little space and all of a sudden, that 8-mile walk for a cup of coffee, it's just like, oh God, here it goes, Well,
how many, at one point, because I remember I was looking up at the ceiling and I'm like, kept looking at the ceiling and you're looking at me, you're like, that's a thing. And I'm like, I hadn't even said a word yet. I'm just looking at the ceiling, looking at you, probably like deer in headlights, looking at the ceiling. But there was so much energy in that place. It was literally popping.
Yes. It's like sparks and stuff.
It's like fireworks, like little mini fireworks. And so I think at that point you and I, or maybe it was Maria and I, went to go wash our hands or go to the bathroom or something. There were so many psychics in there laid out on that chaise lounge trying to just,
yep.
Moon Girl was in there. Glenda was in there. Glenda Johnson, Maria. And I think you were in there at one point because we were all, it was so, the Paracons are fun. They're a great time. Vegas had its own energy anyway, because it's Vegas, but they do as a sensitive, no matter how much you prepare your energy, it still just it just sucks you dry.
Oh yeah.
No matter how grounded you are, no matter how much protection you do on yourself, you're still going to need a nap for like a week after the fact. You know what I mean?
And I still left empty-handed. I never got once to get to pull the slot machine or anything. I'm like, man, I got gypped.
I don't think I did either. I didn't do any gambling, no drinking and no gambling.
No.
A lot of walking.
A lot of walking.
But that's,
and I will tell everybody the cup of coffee was this little.
Yeah, it was like $48.
Walking. Yeah.
But that was for me, that trip was life-changing for me on a lot of levels, because it was obviously my first time meeting a lot of the people that, we've been learning from on TV forever. But and it's like I said to you, I think after Vegas, that's wasn't what it was about for me. It was getting to sit and pick your brain for 3 days straight, and getting to meet all these behind, more like the, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the faces, so, not the Discovery faces, but like people who have been in the trenches doing this.
Yes.
Forever, that you can spend 3 days. You were probably so over my questioning after the second day, probably like, oh my God, get this bitch out of here. But for me, it was such a cool opportunity because I learned so much from you that weekend. I had no idea. Absolutely no idea.
And see, she didn't know, everybody, that I was using her energy so I could stay alive. Because I was making my way over to see my crush, so I needed that extra boost.
Well, there was my voice crush was there, meeting him was very nerve-wracking, but it was, those events are great. Even if you're not there to meet, like I would love to go to one of those just to pick brains.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to get to talk to Johnny Zaffis for a long time,
Adore him.
I will be that man's coffee fairy anytime he needs it.
Yeah.
That was just, I would go around and I'd be like, okay, I'm going, who's in, and just come back with a tray. So only one of us had to walk the half a mile as opposed to a bunch of us. But for you too, since we're talking about Vegas, let's also talk about Daughters of Hecate, because that's another huge thing that you have founded.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get some of the skinny, of course, I know this stuff already, but for other, I find it fascinating because it's a different side of things and it's become a good resource for me. So why don't you kind of explain what that is and how that started and what that looks like for you?
So Daughters, it kind of started first because I'm also an ambassador for Mysterious Adventure Tours. And it wasn't there to be put in of, let's go with Michelle. It was looking at the tours and, tapping into the metaphysical side that I'm into, and I've always been drawn to Hecate. I've called upon her because I feel like I have a connection, be able to walk on both sides. That's how I feel. And so this is a place where people can actually talk about spells, can talk about, there's no religion. It's open. You are loved no matter what way you walk. Yeah. But it also, lets us pick brains. I personally don't do Reiki. Yeah, I'm a squirrel. I think if I try to zap someone, I'd be like, oh, wait, oh, look at that. And they'll be like, oh, So everyone that I know that can do that energy healing, it blows me away, and I'm in awe. So you have all these different types of things, that everybody can talk about. We have, people that write amazing spells, and they're almost poetic. And, we have other people, we also uplift, we're all good. We all have a purpose. And, I guarantee there are more people out there with abilities that don't realize they have them, because we have to see that physical. And this kind of helps open that stuff too. Yes. Everybody has a gods or a goddess, or they might have different things they call on. I work with the ancestors. I work with a lot of different forms, to help people. Yes. I call on the angels. I will call the archangels, a lot.
Every day and twice on Sunday.
Yep. So, but they do mix together. I mean, you can work on both sides because sometimes you have to have the same balance going after something that's really bad. Instead of I'm just going to go one way or the other. And that's kind of how the Daughters of Hecate start growing. Doing a trip to Scotland. I leave next Sunday. Yes.
That was going to be my next foray.
Yeah. So that is Daughters. Yep. That is Daughters going to Scotland. And we're doing a tour, which is in Phantoms of Scotland. So I am going to be able to be with some amazing women and men that actually have abilities too. Yep. And we're doing this tour, and we are going to be able to give voices to a lot of people who were persecuted and executed of being witches. And there are females, more females than males, but there are some males. And I am excited to try and be in that voice to see if we can give a voice to them.
Yeah.
They were just pretty much thrown out to the side because they didn't have the same belief system.
Right.
So that to me is kind of close to my heart. And the people that are going on these tours, be able to tap into what they have to see what all comes together. So I'm extremely excited for that.
That's the thing. Mysterious Adventures Tours is a really neat, and now I've only been kind of in the mix a little bit since last December. But just the amount of work and time and effort that goes into setting those trips up and planning them out and of course, COVID is still COVID in certain parts of the world where, not everything
Yeah.
functions as it used to pre-COVID, but there's always just this huge concentrated effort to really because these trips are they're 8-9 days, right?
Yes.
8 days.
This one is 9 days, and we're going up the coastline.
Ooh.
And so we're actually going around up where Loch Ness is, but we're also going to where Aleister Crowley lived. So we're going to be on that land of
Ooh, girl.
kind of, I know. I'm just like, yes.
Wow.
I'm hoping I can stay as one.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just call me before you walk on the grounds and
I'll be like,
energetically hold
get ready.
Hold down the fort for me for the next couple of hours while I'm
because I'd be like, I don't think they want to see me like crawling on the ground and being all weird and stuff, but it's going to be an amazing trip, and there are a lot, but this one is really tapping into the metaphysical side. We're going to do paranormal stuff too. And they both they combine together. I mean, it intertwines, some people go one side to the other. I have to have it all as one. I like the mishmash.
Agree.
But to be able to open all those up, and then since we are talking about the tours next year, it'll be a lot more on the paranormal side. And, I'm going to do my paranormal metaphysical, but the godfather of paranormal, Mr. John Zaffis, is actually going to be, yes, I adore him. He is my mentor.
He's the sweetest.
We're doing a tour together in Greece. And so we're going to be working with the gods and goddesses, but also a lot of the paranormal that goes on there. So it is going to be very interesting to see that.
Well, and he's Greek too. His family's all Greek, right?
He is.
Woo, snap, the two of you together in Greece. I mean,
I know.
Can I tell you?
Maria will probably leave us in Athens and go, you two need to just stay.
Put a Faraday cage around these two for the duration of the trip.
And his abilities are out of this world when it comes to the paranormal. So it's amazing.
I find that so fascinating because I was watching, he came on Tony Rathman group show at Eddie Voices. This was months ago, right? Mm-hmm. And they were doing their normal thing. Let's do some evidence review. And they were like, well, Johnny, do you want us to give you information and then video? He's like, nope, show me the clip. I don't want to know anything else. Do you know they showed like 11 or 12 clips? He got every single one of them accurate. It was absolutely astounding. So when I was at his house in June, we were talking about that. And I'm like, what? I had no idea that he had. I mean, I knew obviously he had to have something. I mean, he's a Warren.
He's a Warren
line, right? I mean, that's kind of, goes without saying, but just having grown up in it, I think you do to some degree develop, because I am of the opinion that everyone has abilities. Some of us just start out a little more finely tuned than others, right? So Johnny, obviously, with 50 years of experience, but it's so much more than that. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that. He's like, I can't believe I did that. He goes, because he never does that on show. You don't see him doing that on shows ever. And he's just word vomiting like these situations. And every single video, he was absolutely dead on. So be able to take that, his experiences and abilities combined with your experiences and abilities, and Greece might just never be the same.
Oh, I can't wait.
Y'all are gonna have
and all the good food, right?
And the views are terrible. I mean, the sea there's really ugly. Colors are terrible. I don't know that I'd go to Greece.
I don't know. Well, but the great thing is, be able to do that. And then after coming back from that, daughter's going back in October, and we're actually going to be there for Halloween in Ireland. And so we are actually doing, the ghosts, the witches. We'll be celebrating Puka, things like that. So it's going to be very interesting how everything just kind of revolves around doing that. And for people to be on these tours to experience it, I mean, I make sure we open them all up. So
Yeah.
everybody is walking around across the pond with just their third eye, nothing else, and like a scope.
Glowing, shooting straight purple out.
I know. I mean, we all look like unicorns walking across.
Well, Andrea had her trip. She had a blast.
Yeah.
Andrea had never been out of the country, I don't think. Yeah, because she didn't have a way to get her a passport. And I mean, she would call, I always would call Roger and check on him during the day because just, he doesn't have his usual daughter there. So I would just call and check in. So he would tell me, he's like, she is so happy. She can't even like speak without crying because she just was so overwhelmingly in love with it and just had the absolute time of her life out there.
Oh yeah, and she got a lot of stuff going on there too. People are still talking about her tour, how she was on point.
UFOs. Oh, they follow her everywhere. They really do. But it's just the tours are great because you're packing so much in a short amount of time. Like 9 days. There's a lot of experiences happening on each one of these tours. And then from just the historical perspective alone, they're worth it. Just the amount of history that you're getting. I mean, you have a man like Neil Story.
Yeah, oh
God, who we all know and love. Best mustache on the planet.
Right.
Nicest guy ever. And he knows so much. And he's all animated, so when you have your ambassadors go and you've got people like you, people like Johnny, people like all these different ambassadors, and then you toss in Neil Story too. It's just like this huge extra icing on the cupcake or cherry, whatever you want to use there. But he's got so much knowledge that even if you didn't have the paranormal side of it, just the history alone is worth it. So it's like a triple bonus to get all those experiences, and you get to spend 8 or 9 days
and it's
with
all
the ambassadors.
Inclusive. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm jealous because there is a 12-day, I think, Dave Schrader doing Egypt.
In Egypt.
Yeah. I know. I'm just like, really?
I would love to go to Egypt.
I know. And I think he's going to be there during an anniversary or something with King Tut or all this stuff. So there's the pyramids and it's magical. I believe something like that. But I mean, you get people like Dave Schrader going, you had Brian Cano do Wales.
Yep.
So
Mike Ricksecker does Egypt too on occasion.
Yeah.
On Ireland.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many. They got Romania that they're doing. So, all into the whole Dracula thing and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're going on a tour, you get to see all these things, and experience it. But you're not the one setting up the hotels. You're not doing any of that.
Travel.
Everything's all ready, all taken care of.
Yep.
And so it makes the experience even better. You know, I mean, so when we say, we're at a castle, we're going to do a seance. You're just sitting down and you're just going to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so and we're going to places that normally a lot of people can't go to.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more. Yeah.
Got to have that pool, baby. To be able to get into the places like that. Yeah.
Oh,
every time I see a new lineup come out or she posts one and I'm like, man, one of these days I'm going to have to do one. Just going to have to do it.
I don't know if Maria could handle me and you on the same trip. She'd be like, oh, girls, come on.
You have to go to bed. Stop drinking coffee. Well, let's also talk. So we're kind of in the umbrella of other things. And since World's Largest Ghost Hunt, National Ghost Hunting Day, and Mysterious Adventures tours go hand in hand.
Yes.
Do you want to talk World's Largest Ghost Hunt, my dear?
Yes. So we talked about Mysterious Adventure tours. We brought Maria's name up. Mm-hmm. Maria was the founder, builder, extraordinaire of getting the National Ghost Hunting Day. It is a trademark of hers. And so she built World's Largest Ghost Hunt around that. And that was to show, we all speak about para-unity. You see it all over Facebook. Everybody's para-unity, but you really don't see it. But it's always the last weekend of September.
Yep.
And it's when all around the world, all these teams get together and do a national world's largest ghost hunt on the same day.
Yep.
Well, we say the same day, but with the time changes.
Within the given time zone of that day.
One thing that it does, if you sell tickets to it or do anything like that, all that money goes back to that location. And it's historical preservation for these places we all go visit.
Yep.
And we do live streaming. We have a metaphysical team. The metaphysical team has their hands full because they're the ones that open up all the portals, keep people safe, but also make it very active. Yes. And I can tell you the things that come across during the world's largest ghost hunt will blow your mind.
Yeah.
We've had people from Singapore, we got New Zealand, we have Australia, we have, different parts of Europe. And then, of course, all around the United States. Yeah. And you're actually able to see how everybody does things. Mm-hmm. I never knew the whole teacup thing. They use the teacup like if you were to use like a Ouija board, and it goes around the table, and that's how they speak, and they did it across the pond.
Interesting.
To see that and watch it and how they work it, I'm just like, oh, wow, that is so cool,
Yeah.
And it's raw.
Yeah.
It is raw. These are just everyday teams. They're not big superstars. They're doing something they have a passion for, and they're just kind of taking you right in, and It is amazing what you catch. We actually start doing filming kind of like they do, New Year's Eve, around the globe. And that's kind of how we do all the live streaming.
Right.
And it's amazing to watch. And the reveal is the best.
Yes.
You've seen everything that was caught on the reveal. That's what we were doing in Vegas, showing the reveal. And crazy. But it's amazing.
It's such a thing to put together, and it's as a first timer, the metaphysical, we're kind of our own little island because we don't have to, we're not working with the teams directly. Now we do have obviously our metaphysical group that we, keep people updated, and we, try to meet once a week. But I think what's fascinating about this too, I remember being in Vegas and we were talking to, and I wish I could remember their names. Sorry, I am literally have my computer on my bed. So every time I move, it goes, blah, blah, blah. But I remember meeting two guys, and they owned a bed and breakfast, I think. And I want to say it was like Arkansas or something like that.
Yeah, I believe so.
Was it I think it was Arkansas. So. And they had done World's Largest last year. And they were talking about just from the standpoint of exposure that they got. Yes. I mean, they were now, I think at the point we had talked to them, that was only a couple months after. They had sold out of all their events, for the foreseeable future, as far out as they had them. So that's the other thing I think that's so important, is because it gives these teams a platform to do their thing, get recognized for it. And and obviously we're promoting the hell out of this thing everywhere, so it's great for the locations. I mean, obviously we have some locations that people know about, but then you also have a lot of locations people have never heard of, which I find fascinating, because now you're seeing things like where I live. Everyone has seen the St. Augustine Lighthouse be investigated. Everyone's seen, Trans-Allegheny, but you're getting some of these smaller local places that only those people have access to. So now you're getting a whole different can of worms, because now it's all new energy in a lot of cases. People investigate differently, like to your point about the teacups. I mean, it gives you a chance, if you're going to sit there and watch this, the amount of knowledge you can obtain watching people do their thing is astounding. So you get the learning curve, you get, promotions for the teams and the locations themselves. Obviously you get the money donated back if people are charging. And I mean, I don't think we can push historic preservation enough, right? I mean, you can't let people into these spaces and keep it open and keep it running and employ people to, kind of manage these things without charging money. You kind of have to. So for the locations to know that one of the cornerstones World's Largest is basically founded on is historic preservation.
Yes.
Is huge. It really shines a light on that. And I think that's really important. So I'm looking forward to just all the different, obviously I've been seeing with the access that I have, all these different locations. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
there's some like what is it, Montana? It's in it. And I've never seen Montana in it. And I'm like, where's this place? Oh my gosh, but it's more of a private location. Nobody knew this place even had hauntings, and
right.
So actually seeing that kind of stuff, and there's, so many components to make the world's largest ghost hunt.
It is a thing.
Everybody that's doing it is volunteers.
Right.
So we have, coaches, and each coach has so many teams under them. They keep them informed, and I will tell you, I've been pulling my hair out. That's why it's back right now. But it is a lot of work, and to have the volunteers we have and everybody, I mean, you get beat up because you can't make everyone happy.
No.
And so we're all taking punches, we're doing it, but we're still going. And that's where you look back and go, that's where the para-unity is.
Yeah.
Because no matter what's getting thrown at you, we're all still going forth. You're not going to stop me. I'm sorry you feel that way, but we got to move. And seeing the teams come together and say, yeah, this is what we need to be doing. So,
well, yeah. Well, and I think too, with the committees and how well everybody, because, there are several committees within this, obviously, because it is such a massively huge undertaking. I mean, I knew it was big, but I had no idea to the extent, because, I jokingly kind of refer to it like my husband works for the PGA, right? So I've been going to golf tournaments for years, but I'm not paying attention to the, 54 cameras and the cables and you just go to the event and enjoy it. Right. But now that I've been to an event where he's working it, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much involved in just laying the foundation to make something like this happen. And then of course, for y'all this year, decided to move with a formal production team.
Yes.
And that of course is awesome. But of course it brings its own challenges. It's tech, And so like you said, everybody's volunteering and everybody's putting in their time. But I think what's great is that all the different committees work well together when we need to have like meetings, things like that. So it also comes with its own sort of level of para-unity within the committees themselves,
because you can see it. It would not work unless, we all work together. There is not one person besides Maria. I don't know how she did it so many years by herself with a little bit of volunteers. But, last year, I a couple years prior was just going and did the event. But then last year was more behind the scenes too. And this year, because Maria has been very, very busy, our own little team has been trying to do this. And I'm just like, I don't know how many times I wanted to say I quit, but I'm like, how do you quit when you volunteer? And then I'm like, okay.
We say voluntold.
Yeah, it's a voluntold for sure.
Self-inflicted, no.
But again, even though you're frustrated and you're screaming and you just don't know what to do, but at the same token, even though we have the para-unity, this is where you see a lot of egos show up too.
Yeah.
And so, you're still doing that balancing trick, because you're don't want to call it out, but how can you work around it? It actually makes you a better person to say, okay, I know what I can do to make it. And you just, I always hear kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
But you really have to.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean there's a whole bunch out there like that, but you have your few that pop up and you're just like, oh, I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
And so then you have to, kind of pivot and figure out, how do I work with, something like this? And it's actually a really good team building exercise of.
It is. Well, and I think too, I think any massive event that you're putting on like this, your home stretch is always like that.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how many times you've done it. Doesn't matter. It's just that last week, because it's details and, crossing T's and dotting I's. And, I think that always comes with any sort of large production that you're trying to do. And But like I'll say from, my experience, I mean, so Michelle, for people who don't know, Michelle is on the executive committee. So it's Michelle, Catherine Cirillos, and Rob Stakowitz. Rob is back at the Conjuring House tonight.
Yes.
I sent him a message earlier.
So did I.
A calm evening. And so they are the heads of everything. So then the subcommittees are under that. So I'm on the metaphysical. So for us this year, what I thought was neat was we just decided to meet once a week, basically once we'd sort of formed the committee and we kind of knew who was going to be there. So we meet on Sundays, and we have no purpose other than to just get to know each other, because from an energetic standpoint, for the metaphysical side of things, the more we, with these teams, and there's 5 or 6 core members of that group that meet on Sundays. So it's like me, Carrie Hopper, Tammy Radin, Liz Erder, Jake Lanigan, Moon Girl, Sarah Garcia. And we have a couple that pop in and out, but it's been awesome.
You guys have Cindy too, I think.
And right? Cindy Brown. I love Miss Cindy.
I do too.
That girl is one of the most grounded energies I've ever met. Like if I'm chaosed or I'm stressed and I'm going to go to that girl because she's super grounded and she's so quiet,
Oh yeah.
And when she speaks, you better be listening because it's going to be important. So we meet on Sundays, and the goal is just to integrate our energies together so that when we actually have the opening ceremonies and then the event through the weekend, we are all already energetically aligned and connected. So, once a week, we just like shoot the shit for an hour, literally with the sole purpose of just energetically aligning it. It's interesting because what that has turned into, we were talking about it 2 weeks ago, that I think we're going to keep doing them even when World's Largest is over, because for the metaphysical side, when you talk about learning things through this, we have people like Moon Girl and Tammy Radin and Liz, and people who have been in their abilities like you a long time, right? So for us, some of the newbies, in whether it's, in World's Largest or whether it's on the spiritual side of things, we have now made these amazing connections with these people that we can, again, go to for help or advice or ask questions. Or it's been interesting because it's actually formed a whole little new group of friends sort of after the fact. And we're like, we should still keep doing this. Like, even if it's not every week. Exactly. Same purpose, same intent. And so I think that's what's been really eye-opening is for an event like this is you really have to work with your core people to make something like this happen. You know?
And that's just like the participant group, they have their chair and co-chair, but it's like the coaches have had to come together because each coach has 5 to 7 teams that they're trying to manage, and so they've had to become their own little core group because you need to be able to bounce off. Your energies have to work together, I think to keep us sane. But the metaphysical, even though you don't see or hear much about them, they are like the biggest core part of the World's Largest Ghost Hunt, because you guys are having to maintain all of it. I mean, you think about it, every team has a sensitive, so like this year we got 65 teams. And on those 65 teams, you have mediums, you have sensitives, you have all different type of abilities.
Yep.
And as you guys are tapping into it and they're doing it, these portals, vortex, whatever you guys call them, they are so huge. I mean, they are like the black hole.
Yeah.
And you got them opening up around the world.
Yep.
So, and while you're doing that, you're maintaining to make sure people are safe, because when you have that, again, you've got both the light and the dark coming through.
Oh, yeah.
And so people have even noticed that they've been going to this place, been doing investigations over and over. And then all of a sudden they're getting someone that's speaking French. And they're like, well, there is no French here. There never has been. There's no documentation. They have had it where spirits were crisscrossing over and blowing people's minds. Like, this is new. And so the power that's behind this whole thing, I mean, it's gigantic. It's crazy.
Well, it's a pure, not even an experiment at this point, because it's been going, is this the 7th year, right?
This is the 7th year.
It's a massive experience, because I don't want to say experiment. It's a massive experience in the power of collective consciousness.
Yes.
It's one of the few ways you can sort of put it on display, you know, because it's not something you can see. But when you see the effects, I think that's, the reveal is important. Then obviously kind of debriefing after the fact, you can really start to sense that, like you said, crossing spirits. I know Ken DaCosta had an experience where he was on the East Coast thinking about a spirit, I think from the Stanley Hotel, and he was with Cody and Satori. That spirit from the Stanley Hotel came to Cody and Satori on the East Coast.
And it happens. And it's okay. It does happen because
crazy.
People, and it's really weird, especially when you're doing events, and you're in a location and people have read up on the location. And this is kind of the back history, but it's not the whole history.
Right.
And so then you got things crisscrossing over and going, well, that can't be, that spirit can't be here. They don't belong here. They belong in a different country. And you're like, huh?
They don't have a body. They're not bound by space and time. Right.
Yeah, they can just poof, there they is,
Yeah.
So, but to see people really believe that, and then when they see a reveal from the world's largest ghost hunt, like they did in Vegas, people were all like, what? They said, what? And you're like, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. I mean, and it's such a cool experience too, because you're literally pulling together every side of the paranormal industry that there is.
Yes.
From your metaphysical side to your investigators, to your tech, to your production, it's literally a perfect combination of every side of this business that there is.
Even the science. We actually have a gentleman that runs the RNGs to see what actually gets moving. He did some RNGs when the Queen passed away. And because of everybody's emotions, it started making the scale move.
Yep.
And it starts doing that running number, grid, and it keeps checking it out. Almost like, when we have earthquakes, how, it goes up and down. Well, he measures that during the world's largest ghost hunt. And you can tell when the bigger groups are starting to do it because it starts doing the peaks and moving down and around. And it's so crazy. And it's all because of the energy sources that everybody's putting in. So I love having that little science piece in it too. Like, see? Well, ghosts are real.
That's I know. That, and I think too, having the science end of it allays a lot of people's questions, because now you can't say, oh, well, they didn't have any science behind it. Well, now we're offering some. And again, you can't, people in the field of quantum physics don't even understand quantum physics enough to be able to explain some of the things that happen to sensitives and other things that happen in the universe.
Correct.
Right. But in my extremely infantile, limited understanding of quantum anything, is that's what makes this stuff happen. You have quantum entanglements at the smallest levels. Nothing, energy has no bounds. And I think that's, him charting the RNGs through this event, he's actually able to give verifiable data to that exact effect. And I think that's what's so fascinating about the science end of it. And I didn't even realize y'all had done that up until about, 6 months ago. I didn't even realize that was part of it. So when
we did it last year too. He did it last year, and it was pretty good numbers. And what he does, and a lot of the other scientists who all do the RNGs, they do it during certain times. Again, like they did it after it was announced that the Queen had passed.
Right.
And it actually had effect around the world. Yep. So they were able to start running those RNGs, and you could tell there was that movement. And I think he actually posted it of, look what happened. They ran RNGs after 9/11, not the day of, but the day after, and a couple of days, because again, that was something that affected around the world.
Yep.
And also, so certain things, and running them for something like this, I kept going, well, I wonder if that would actually do something. So I was very fascinated by it.
Yep.
And to be able to measure that type of energy and see where the peaks were, because a lot of times on the world's largest ghost hunt, you get across the pond, but then there's a saturation on the East Coast.
Right.
And then you got some Midwest and you move on, of knowing certain times of, okay, because when you go east and then you go mid and then you go Pacific, you got 3 going across, the United
Right.
States like that. And to be able to chart each one of how things went, it blew my mind.
Well,
I'm just like, I didn't do good in science, but I was just like, whoa, this makes a lot of sense. But it was really cool because I was putting myself in like a portal last year. We wanted to do an experiment. And of course I said yes. I'm not sure why, but I did. So there was separate RNGs being ran by that too. And to be able to open it and doing what I was doing, it actually showed an effect. So to me, I was like, oh, that was me. My energy was like, I have that. And it blew me away. I was like a little, yay, little science geek. I was like, yes.
Oh yeah. Well, us energy nerds are all about that stuff. Well, and I think it's a verifiable way to prove the power of intention.
Very much so.
When we're all going into this with the intention to respectfully investigate, learn, experience, honor the spirits that are at a location. So everybody's got the same mindset. So you're charting the effects of the energy on so many different levels. But just to be able to have it as a data set is just fascinating to me. And the more of that we can get, the better. Because when you're talking about the RNGs, like after any sort of big event,
yes,
I think what's nice for those of us who are energetically sensitive, like myself, that's giving validation to the struggle that some of us have had. COVID, prime example, just that. When I explain to people how the collective works and how it can affect energetic sensitives, and of course it presents different for everyone. Like for me, it's typically a 50-pound rock on my chest. It's like you literally can't breathe. And so once you get done with freaking out, thinking you're having a heart attack and dying, you're like, okay, well, energetically, there has to be something else happening here. And so I think for somebody like myself, and I'm sure you're the same way, it gives us some more validation too, because being as sensitive is exhausting.
It is. And
a lot of the time
think about it, especially ones that are very empathic, that, that's like the dominant piece of them. I get some of it and all that, but not the brunt, like maybe what you would. And I'm just like, just a little bit I get thinking of someone that's very empathic. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I really feel sorry for you, because that is a lot that and it makes you wonder, how are they able to function, because they're just taking things in like a sponge.
Well, that brings an interesting point though, because I and me well enough to know I ask everybody this question because I find it so important as if you're an investigator or a sensitive or somebody visiting a location, insert role here. It's so important to know how to ground and protect your energy before doing any of this stuff, whether you're investigating or you're channeling or you're doing energy healing, whatever it is that your bag is. Grounding and protecting your energy is important. So you started that. What is your favorite way? Because I love to learn, because everybody is different and I always learn something new. So that's my favorite question to ask everyone is, what is your favorite way, or what are the most effective ways that you've found or you tell people to ground and protect your energy?
Well, I start with 2 shots of whiskey. No,
that's smart.
It just kind of caught me on it. Actually, I hug trees or lean against trees and use that as my grounding. For some reason, drawn to trees, love the energy they have. Sometimes I just kind of walk around and just, almost making that internal map for myself of where things are and kind of already prepare myself. And so I know it sounds a little weird. I always say like getting myself ready for battle. Because you never know what's coming. And I just I talk myself through it. Again, I don't do a lot of meditation. I can carry some stones here and there with me, but mine is mainly, I have to have my feet on the ground and feel it. And, when it's snowing, it's not so good. But at the same time, standing by a tree, if I just stand by a tree and just kind of lean against it, it's almost like it does kind of put me in a meditated state, especially if it has leaves and you can hear them. I always say it's my little fairies following me, and they're going to guide me and take care of me, that kind of stuff. But that's what I do. I say prayers. I have different types of prayers I will use depending on my location. And I also make sure myself and the team, we do, like a closing prayer when we're leaving a location. If it's been really hot and heavy, we might, use maybe some sage just for a cleansing. Selenite is more the wands to me. I like better than the sage because it does absorb more of it.
Yes.
So it differs depending where I'm at. So it's going to be interesting in Scotland how I'm going to be able to do that, because I guess it's really windy and it rains a lot. So, and it's going to be cold.
Yes.
So I will have to find me as many trees as I possibly can just to.
Well, that's what's interesting, because, that you're right. Everything with grounding and protecting, so much of it is intent. And so, I'm a crystal girl. Trees are my thing too. And I with clients, when I do meditations, I walk them through a grounding meditation, which I'm going to do at the ceremony, of tree roots, because it's the fastest, easiest way to get back into your body, or to just make sure you're, leveled out before you go do an investigation or whatever. To connect with that earth energy is super, super important. But also, like you said, you almost like pump yourself up, like go into battle, like it's, whatever works for you. But I think that's a pep talk. But that's what's so fascinating, because everybody's way of doing that is different, but it's all the people I've talked to, for the most part, understand the importance of having that. And I love it. Like you said, when you and your team are involved with it, whatever your ritual is and whatever your methods are to ground and protect yourself and your team, I find absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, because you got to remember, when you're doing an event, we're not just going into a location and dealing what the unseen is there, but we also have a lot of people that are coming. Some bring baggage with them that you're not ready for. Everybody, when they say you haven't walked a mile in my shoes, don't say anything. Well, that's what I get when they all come. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I have to prepare for all of it. So, I'm making sure I'm taking care of all of it, because, if you're not prepared, if that person comes in, and they've had a bad week and a lot of things are going on, that can actually, hurt me as much too, because then I'm like, okay, what is here? What is not, just like tonight sitting with you, I don't know, but I feel like somebody that's watching us. Oh, okay.
I love the universe. Great question.
I keep feeling, like there's a couple people out there that are struggling with something. It's almost, it's like a real bad inner struggle, because I keep getting this really bad chest pain. And it's almost like somebody's needing to burst. There's something happening and somebody's got to burst, that I've been getting chills this whole time. My fingertips are ice cold. And so I'm feeling like somebody's having problems up in this area. I don't know why, but that's why you keep seeing me go, so I'm not sure.
Well, that's the thing I find fascinating about this kind of doing shows, because we're hosting, but like Andrew and I have talked about, you're also effectively, and the guests too, effectively holding space for all the people that are watching it.
Yeah.
And so I think we do quantum physics again, gets us every time. We're still getting all the energy from the people around us that are watching too. And so it's always fascinating whether you're getting like somebody visiting for someone who's watching, or you're picking up like on a, like a feeling that way.
Really bad personal. Somebody's got an inner struggle right now that is, and I don't know how to say it. It's like there's a fear or there's something, and they can't get past it right now, and so it's actually kind of making their whole body just
Festering.
like kind of festering and kind of like almost like a collapse. But like I said, it's in this area, and it's hot and heavy right now, girl. I'm just like, whew.
Grab your selenite.
I'm pretty sure you see him behind me right now going, calm down, girl, calm down.
He's been kind of hovering. Oh, well, there's certain things I don't typically like to address unless somebody brings them up first, because I don't want to put people in the hot seat.
I can feel him breathing. That's why I'm like, oh.
Yeah. He's like square behind you. Normally he's off to one side. He's currently square behind you. And he's only like, it's funny because he's not peeking, but he's close. Like he's, all right. So I don't even remember when I saw this. Oh, it was during an energy session I did for you.
Yes.
So I was doing an energy session for Michelle, and I just kept seeing this, and he's behind her. And of course I'm seeing this here because I don't see a lot physically like you do. Like I've never seen someone solid, right? Like as a solid entity. Most of what I see is up here. And I just saw and he's hooded. He's all black figure, good sized dude too.
Yeah.
But it also could be because, he could, I don't know. It's hard to tell how tall he is because you're not super tall. And without, you know what I'm saying? Like,
listen, everybody, you notice she has said this like a lot tonight.
Well, but here's the thing.
I know.
So much power and energy packed into such a tiny package. It astounds me no matter how many times we discuss it. So anyway, I'm doing this energy session. I'm sending her Reiki, and I just keep seeing this hooded figure behind her. Now he appears to me like a shadow. Like I don't see a face, but it was very clear to me. He was silent. He never said a word, but it was interesting because normally something like that would have caused me to be a little like, what the French toast? But it was very much it was very clear to me that he is the guide's not the right word, but he's the one who backs you up to make sure that as much dark as you see, he balances out your light.
Yeah.
When you're on, and I didn't know anything about that. Like you and I had never discussed that. It wasn't, so of course
I was still about it at all. And then you said it, and then somebody else was saying it. I don't know if Andrea had mentioned it or something or whatever. And I'm going, God, I must be going to be going to hell because he's like really showing himself to everyone. Like she's not listening.
Well, but I think because to me, it was more of like, it was very clear that he's a protector of you because you have a brighter light than most, obviously, given the work that you do. So you have to have somebody who navigates the dark with you.
He definitely has got my back. And I feel a lot because there's times I'll feel like a hand on my shoulder and you'll see me just kind of go like this and stuff. Okay, this is really killing me. I don't know if anybody's out there wants to reach out, wants to do something. I'm not sure, but I'm getting like almost a real bad depression, almost like they feel like life's just not worth anything. And it's starting to make my cheekbones really hard. Like I'm feeling an overwhelm of like, why am I even here? So if somebody's out there and you guys are listening, and I don't know if I'm getting it from here or from somewhere else, if you need to talk to someone or whatever, make sure you guys reach out because I'm starting to get it hit hot and heavy and I'm getting say it. And I'm like, okay.
We're programming this for you right now.
Yeah.
Selenite plate. So I'm just going to put it down here and we're going to transfer it here.
Yes, ma'am.
So let that shift out. And that's what's fascinating too about, being a sensitive like you are, because I don't know many sensitive that only have one ability. Most sensitives don't have one clair, right? Like I'm big into the clair abilities because it's the easiest way to kind of explain to people what's happening and how things are coming through. And so you're a person who gets it from all sides. You feel it, you hear it, you see it, you taste it. I mean, you literally are fully open and you experience it on every level. So my question is, do you feel like spirit has the ability, and I mean, I think I already know the answer, but I'm interested in your perspective. They choose how they're going to give you the information. And do you feel like if you're in a location, you've got, say, there's like you and Jake are at a location together, because Jake's obviously a sensitive as well, or any of your other Cindy, any
Yeah.
of your other sensitive type people, do you guys ever get information from the same spirit in different manners? Like one of you may see something, one of you may hear it, one of you may feel it, and then you're able to like ascertain that it's the same spirit and you're all getting the information in different ways.
Yes. A definite yes. There's times where, you know, sometimes you'll see spirit, you know how we call it like split personality kind of thing, especially like when you're in an asylum, you know, you've got the spirit, but what was with the spirit, you know, there, and, you know, Jake might get it one way and I get it another way, but then we figured out it is the same.
Yeah.
I might see the darker piece of that spirit where somebody else sees the lighter, but we still know it's the same. You know, there's times spirit talks to me with certain smells. I'll get like a really bad metal taste in my mouth. And if it gets too much, my nose does start bleeding. I get nosebleeds.
Yep.
But the metal gets really strong. And when the stronger the metal, the darker that energy is. And so, but sometimes, like I said, spirit has different layers like we do. And well, I'm saying it because that's how I see them.
Sure.
But you're seeing, you know, everybody walks around in a masquerade. We all wear some type of, you know, we don't want anybody to ever see us, our real self, because we protect ourselves when we're alive. We put different protections on, and we let only certain people see certain sides of us.
Yes.
Spirit world is like that too. You know, and so when I see him, I see a certain layer here, or I might see this layer, but then someone like Jake or Cindy will come in and go, God, you know, you're saying you're seeing this, but I'm feeling not so good. It just, something's off. And Jake goes, well, you know, it's portraying itself maybe as a little child, and I'm seeing it knowing it's not a child. So that means, okay, we're starting to get a little bit of a trickster coming through and stuff, but it takes a minute to piece it together.
I find
we're gonna peel those layers.
And it is like that. I mean, I know that happened. You know, I have little to no investigative experience. Let's call it. I mean, so, and I don't count paracons because that's hard. As a sensitive, it's very hard to go into these places, especially not having experience, and sort of be able to delineate what's what. But when we were up in Connecticut at Johnny's, it was interesting because I tend to get downloads. And if the word's repeated like 5 or 6 times, then I know there's something happening, right? So I walked through to one side of the room and I started getting adamantly over and over again the word Viking. And I didn't even have time to spit it out of my mouth to Johnny and Julie Griffin. Julie and I went together. And Julie, before I've even said anything, she's like, I'm seeing this guy. He's really tall. You know, he's got like furs, skins, warrior, you know, and I hadn't even said the word. So she was getting the visual interpretation and I was getting the claircognizant download information. And it's the same damn spirit at the same time.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's just, it's crazy.
It's interesting though, you know, think about if you could get, you know, 3-4 people, you know, we all have abilities, but a little bit different from each other, because we'll probably still have the same. Because if you are connected,
here's Julie.
Hi, Julie. But if you do that, can you imagine maybe like some cold cases we could actually take care of? Because we would all get it a different way, which would be that puzzle.
Yep.
If you're in tune with yourself, you know, and that's kind of, you know, like I said, I speak for spirit. And I really do. You know, I'm not trying to sound mean. I don't come out to people and say, I have a message for you, you know, because that's not what it is. It might be a message to you, but you probably don't want to hear it coming out of my mouth, because I've done that once and it was not very good. And I'm like, maybe I should not be doing these kind of readings. Because if you want the real truth, come here and I will tell you. So you know, Mom was really pissed that you stole that $10 out of her wallet and she knew it this whole time. You know, And I have done that because it just comes out of my mouth. And I'm always like, oh, what happens when I become that real senior citizen? They say things just come out of your mouth. Can you just imagine me then? Oh my Lord.
Well, I think that's true. I mean, I know, one of the other things Julie and I were able to do when we were in Connecticut was we were able to investigate with Rise Up and Ken DeCosta's team. And so there were 3 sensitives there, me being the new kid on the block. So Julie Griffin,
Ooh.
tons of experience, Tiffany Rice, tons of experience. And I just sat there in awe watching. And then you have Cody and Satori. Yep, Julie is right.
Yes, really.
Just what was interesting with Cody and Satori is we haven't talked much about this publicly because it was like a private investigation. So we didn't do picture, any of that. But it was interesting because they asked us to jump in the circle with them one at a time to see what happened when you added sensitives to the circle.
Yeah.
And that was another, like we joining in with those two, like I jumped in and if you don't know Cody and Satori's method, it's very fascinating. But basically in essence, when they touch, you start getting out of everywhere footsteps and stomping, and you can't tell where it comes from. And it doesn't matter if they're standing on carpet, tile, wood, sand, grass, doesn't matter. But as you added a sensitive, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, twin flames.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
Twin flames. Yep.
The good side of twin flames, right?
Yes.
Everybody promotes sometimes to some degree, like a not so great relationship is a twin flame. And so it's nice to see a twin flame that has this unbelievable connection.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You've got 3 different mediums, all varying different abilities and with the way they channel. But what was interesting is each one of us stepped into the circle, the stomping, it got louder and louder and louder the more you added it in. But what was fascinating for me, it was my first investigation ever. I would count it. So you want to talk about peaking early when that's what your first investigation is. But to watch Julie and Tiffany together, just the stuff that they were getting. I mean, I feel like a lot, and I know a lot of teams don't like bringing sensitive. I think that's changing now because I think more teams are starting to understand the importance of also having not just your tech results. You got to I think they're starting to understand the importance of having a sensitive, right? So it was just interesting for me being a sponge and learning to watch them, the information they're getting, because they're getting similar information, but they're getting it from different people, or they're getting different parts of the story, but they were like watching them go back and forth. It was they were just putting it all together. So, you're always traveling. I mean, you and you've got, do you have usually like a set number of sensitives you take with you, or is it just whoever pops in?
It just kind of pops in. Yeah. Because I gotta say, I guess I might be a little different. I know there's a lot of people that are, mediums and sensitives that kind of want to be on their own when they're with these groups.
Right.
I actually love when there's more, because what that does, one, it helps me and none of us are getting drained as fast, because one in something like an event would be that way. But again, for some reason, when you get everybody together with the sensitives and then you have the team itself doing their parts, it really does get better results, I guess, for the people who are coming. But it also works for us because that's kind of like security blanket for me, like, okay, I can't do no more, but then I know Jake can handle it, or I can't do it, Cindy or Brittany in Indiana, I mean, so we I trust all of them, and they trust me because I'm not going to let nothing happen to them. I'm like the mama bear of it, but I know they're all real good and they all have something special. And when we put all our specials together, there's no stopping. Yeah.
There's not. Well, and it spreads out the energetic hit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because one sensitive taking on all that.
Yeah.
I was just looking at time. It's already 10:35. We haven't even talked about Thriller yet. My dear, I think we've covered all of the things almost except for that. That's like another massively important thing that you do.
Yes. Well, and I don't do it all by myself. I do have a great teammate. Thriller events. Oh my God. Let me start. Who's behind that? Oh, Maria, yet again. So Maria came with this concept of having a ticketing platform that would just kind of specialize in otherworldly. Because everybody knows, when you're selling tickets to events, if you go to like a Ticketmaster or an Eventbrite, you get put into this category like other.
Right.
So if you don't have a link someone can click on, if they just go to Eventbrite, say, hey, what's going on? What do I want to go to? There is not a tab to say, hey, paranormal, metaphysical, paracon, whatever.
Right.
So I had Riverside, Iowa Paranormal on Thriller. Loved it. You know, all these different platforms they get shared on. I seen ticket sales actually go up because it was, you know, going right to the people who are interested in these types of things.
Right.
So as she got busier, she's like, would you like to take over Thriller? And again, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not a drinker, but I must have had a shot of whiskey because I said yes. And then afterwards, I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into?
Right.
But this is something that I'm very, very proud of, because I have seen people go from struggling to sell something for an event to come over. It is free for them to put it on there. We're not gouging prices for the people who are buying the tickets.
Right.
So they're getting a fair shake too. So it makes it affordable for them to come to these events.
Yep.
But it's, you know, it's a platform otherworldly. I mean, we actually have a store. So a lot of our wonderful metaphysical side people who make this beautiful jewelry, wands, candles, instead of trying to get lost in the feed of like a Facebook or of a Pinterest or anything, they can actually put a store in there and help get it shared out there and actually make money without having to worry about how many times have I shared it today.
Right.
Or say, hey, I sold items A, B, and C, knowing that here in the back, we take that stuff off.
Yep.
So they're not having to do it to make their business a little easier.
Yep.
It is the most easiest platform to use.
It is.
I mean, it has a tutorial. So as soon as you sign up, you put your own payment processor. So when someone swipes that card or puts that card number in, automatically that money goes right into that bank account.
Yep.
We don't see the money. We never touch the money. It automatically just goes.
Yep.
And trying to get the word out. It's one that, a lot of people don't think about because it's so easy just to put it on there on Eventbrite. But I think people are starting to notice a little bit more that it's not really selling.
Yeah, because it gets, like you said, it gets kind of watered down in that other category.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not highlighted.
But using it first before, having it now, I seen my ticket sales increase, doubled right away. It went from, trying to keep it pumped out to, I pump it out a couple of times and I'm meeting more newer people because we do put it out on the other platforms. So we're finding guests and stuff that would have never known about an event going, I'm really glad I seen this, and they end up joining you. Yeah. And so that actually is a great experience.
It is. And it's a cool platform. I mean, it's, having done the tutorial myself, because I didn't know anything about website stuff at all.
Yeah.
And it was super helpful to be able to learn that way. And you do, like you said, you get to meet a lot of people. And I think too, it's, because one of us is always available. So people get, if they have an issue, they get responded to quickly. And like you said, it's nice to have because it is a niche market, right? Paranormal, otherworldly, supernatural, whatever you want to call it. So it is nice to have it all in one spot. And you can upload details, you can upload pictures, you can basically put anything, seating charts for your specific venue that you're hosting it at, and then it's easier to promote it from within your credentials. When you sign up for it, you can blast it on Instagram or Facebook or link or wherever you want to put it.
It's all right there. You just click the buttons and it does it. And the great thing is you can do different variations of ticket prices.
Yep.
You can, and you can actually, specify VIP and it tells them what that has. And and the great thing is if you had a store, let's say, like Rob uses us, he does merchandise too.
Yep.
That he could actually have a store connected. So when they're checking out and with their tickets, it will say, hey, would you like a t-shirt? Would you like this? If they buy it, it automatically would tell Rob, hey, somebody bought a small t-shirt, here's the name, and everybody, there you go. Now, so it helps us, but it also helps those that are coming because now they're not waiting in a line to look at a table to say, oh, I might want this t-shirt or I might want that flashlight. They have it all right then and there, and there's
It's
a
all
bag
there.
waiting for them. Yep.
Yep.
So it
Yep.
benefits both sides.
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, that's been a fun thing to learn. And I've enjoyed my involvement with it so far just because I've learned a lot. Well, and I get to talk to you all the time, which never makes me sad. But I think you've got your hands in so many things. And I know we've only got like 19 minutes left. So I was an idiot, everyone, and I forgot to send links to Bill of all these wonderful things that Michelle's doing. But it's been a week. So I put them in the Facebook chat, but I'll go back through and update it on the different platforms so you know where Thriller is, you know where World's Largest Ghost Hunt, you know the different events for Riverside, Iowa Paranormal. But why don't you kind of give everybody sort of a rundown of what's coming up for you? Obviously, we have World's Largest, but you've got a gazillion other things that you're doing at the same time. So if you want to give people the skinny on the best way to find you, what events you've got going on, and then I'll repost them in Facebook.
Well, they can join Daughters of Acate Facebook page where we post a lot of things. We're going to be doing the World's Largest Ghost Hunt. So if they go to the National Ghost Hunting Day Facebook page, that is, you just go in, like it. Everything that's going to be going on that day will actually be on that page. So if somebody pops in, wants to watch one of the lives, they can see it on there. Daughters, you'll know about all the tours that are going on and just, hey, chit chat like you were talking about. After the 24th, which is next Saturday, that's Sunday afternoon, I will be getting on a plane going to the tour in Scotland. Then when coming back, we have a couple events. The Texas chapter for Riverside, Iowa Paranormal is doing Old Park Hotel there in Texas, which I guess is just crazy evidence there.
Yes.
Then we are going to be doing a big live in Alton, Illinois at Mineral Springs Hotel. That's also an event. You can do a general admission or you can do an overnight if you want to sleep there. That is on the 29th of October.
Wow.
So, yes. Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, especially in the month of October, we do a lot of speaking engagements. So we go around to like libraries and different functions, talk to people about the paranormal. So October's pretty busy for us.
Spooky season, baby.
I know. But on Thriller too, I know we've been in talks. They can like the Thriller page. And you can always message me, if you're needing someone to talk to or you have questions, I am more than happy to answer any of those. So you can find me. I'm all over. Like, where is she? Well, there she is. But these are pages, they can just like them. And if anybody's interested in any of the tours and you are looking for other ones, because I do know, Shane Pittman is doing, I believe, France or Germany or something like that.
I think I saw that recently. Yeah.
So if they go to Mysterious Adventure Tours Facebook page, there's all different things on there. So you can see that. And you're going to be pumping out some of those links for them. It's a one click. But they can, just send me a message and I will make sure, we'll have a connection.
And what I'll do is I'll put all those links for all the things on Buttercup Brigade, Andrew's fan page, and some other places too, since I was the idiot who forgot to do that earlier. And I didn't know if Bill had any questions for us either. I didn't know if he wanted to hop back on. If he has any questions, because sometimes he does, you can jump back in. And I didn't know. Did I miss it? I think we covered so much. You and I could talk for hours. Like you could put us with like an endless pot of coffee, and we could go for days.
Yeah, and I can keep on going. Yeah.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, and this is what I love about getting to do this show. One, it's an honor to be able to step in to Andrea's very large shoes, and I always feel like I'm going to throw up right before I go live. But we're getting better about that now. But I love being able to have my friends on because it's like us just being able to have coffee. I just have amazing friends who have I have met so many of the most amazing people in this last year. This year's been a wild ride, but to be able to call you my friend and sister in so many things, and just the amount of stuff I've learned from you and over that time.
Oh, Cindy.
I love Miss Cindy.
I do.
It's just been awesome. And so to be able to have you back on tonight has just been great.
Well, and oh my gosh, you are fantastic. I mean, there is so many things that you do, but you're always kind of like behind the scene. You're magnificent. I'm going to tell you, I couldn't do half the stuff I do without, hey, I need you right now. And you're like, I got you, girl. I got you,
Send all the energy. Send it all my way.
Suck it up, But, having you as a friend, I knew when we met, there was a reason. And we're seeing it, and it's starting to grow. So I'm really excited about that too. So, but since Cindy's on, I do have to tell you a little story. Cindy, of course, she's also German.
Yep.
And she had surprised us with some tickets to go to Zach Bagans' museum when we were in Vegas.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, and it was so funny because, here we go in the room where they got the Dybbuk box. And, and I'm kind of nervous because I'm like, somebody's following us. And her, Cindy and Candy are like, no. And I'm like, no, it's like a real person. And they look at me like, what real person, And I'm like, but we started getting everything going off in that room with the Dybbuk box because we both started talking German. And they kept saying it was some other language. And I kept going, this guy is like, no, it's German. So we just chitter-chattered. All these little things behind glasses are going off. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like you just robbed some big, like, and I'm like, okay, it's time to walk out of this door, but it was an amazing time. And to watch her, do her thing because it was her element.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So
that girl's
grounded. Talk about, she's good. And that's how I definitely wanted to give that shout out to her. And I love being part of my team. I love that me and you are working together on things. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed. I am blessed.
It's funny that all of this, we're all having this conversations a year later after we just met in Vegas in December, not knowing how much like Moon Girl. I met Moon Girl in the bathroom at the casino in Vegas, Glenda Dawson as well. And it's just funny how now this time later, we've all come back around in each other's lives again. So there's, the universe is amazing like that,
Always just saying, hey, we're here. We might not talk all the time, but I'm here.
But we're here.
We're here. So.
Yep. Well, it's been just like the absolute best. Oh yeah. I'm getting so much better at my time checks. He just time checked me for 5 minutes. So that's perfect. But I just wanted to thank you again for coming on and hanging out with me. Also for getting me through this week, because as you know, week has been a bitch, and Michelle checked in with me every day, and I loved it because I didn't always respond because she knew I had gone into my little zone. But so to be able to have you on after all the help you've given me since we've met has just been absolutely amazing. And we've both got quite a week coming up.
Yes, we do.
So we're going to need all of the people to send all of the energy our way. Thank you, Miss Julie. Next week, as we're holding space for everybody who's going to be doing World's Largest Ghost Hunt, we're going to be Busy Bees next week. Yes. And just thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. And I will be back on next week because Andrea is going to be at the Michigan UFO Con with Deb DeRusse and company there. So y'all are stuck with me again next week. And did you have anything else for us, Michelle?
I just want to thank you for having me on. And I want to send everybody out there who's been watching tonight love and just a little bit of extra light.
Extra light.
Extra light.
Well, and on that note, thank you all for watching. Big love from all of us. And we'll see you again next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. Have a good weekend.